Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. I'm your host, Andy Burrows, and I'm joined by my fellow host, sitting there in his Ignite Wrestling Pro t-shirt, Mr. Adam Cousins. Adam, long time no see. I was literally with you 24 hours ago. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good man. It wasn't, about 24 hours since you got challenged by Corey McRae for
Yeah,
touching the belt.
Corey and me. I mean, you had a little bit of beef at Jurassic when you went.
I had the Nick Jurassic. Maybe what we should do is
Champion. We're
me
just
and
pissing
you,
champions off.
me and you
Mhm.
versus Nick Payne and Corey McRae for the Ignite and Jurassic World Championships.
Please tell me that's going to be on the Xbox and not in because I would get my arse whipped. But yeah, we were at Ignite yesterday. We went and watched their event, The Bitter, and it was a great day of wrestling. Just before we get started, big thank you to CJ Carter and all the talent that gave us unlimited access to everything yesterday. We were doing backstage interviews. We were sitting ringside. We got to mingle with all the talent before. During, I had Smashing Mike literally land on my lap as he fell out
We
of the ring.
also had post
Yesterday.
interview as well.
We had post interview. It was so good. It's all leading up to our event, Buckle Up on July the 23rd. Check our socials for tickets. The front row is pretty much nearly already sold out.
Literally a handful left.
Yeah, so there's plenty more seats left. I think the venue holds about 185 people. Come down to Bournemouth on July the 23rd for Buckle Up. But ads, we are here to talk WWE and the first day of the WWE draft, which happened last Friday on Smackdown. Let's go through. Smackdown kicked off with Triple H coming out and doing the first four picks. Now, obviously, no shock in horror. The first pick was, well, a little bit of a surprising the way they done it. Paul Heyman, Solo Sikoa, and a Roman Reigns went as one. They stayed on the blue brand. No Usos beat so far. We don't know what. So me and you are sitting here recording this on Bank Holiday Monday. So Raw is tonight. We don't know yet what's happened to the Usos. You said a few weeks ago, is it the TV companies who's going to pick where these people go? You know what I mean? Are you surprised that Roman stayed on the blue brand with Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa? No Usos. How's that all going to work? Obviously, we haven't had Raw yet. Did the Usos get drafted to Raw? Do they get split up? How are you seeing it going, mate?
Am I surprised? I don't really think where Roman went. I don't think it really mattered because now we know where he's not going is the champion. There's going to be a new champion anyway. So I think Raw may have been a better option just because he's done SmackDown. He's been on SmackDown for so long that might have been good for a change to move it. But no, I think they had to leave a bit of suspense with the Usos. I think that was the whole point. Whether they move to Raw or SmackDown tonight, well, they will move to one or the other tonight. But what they did do was, I think it was they weren't eligible to be drafted for SmackDown, and I think that's why they wasn't drafted as one because there was only an eligible pool of talent, which. Weird, but I suppose they've got to make it fair for both nights. So kind of makes sense because otherwise you'd get all your big ones drafted straight away, and tonight's would be shit, basically. So it leaves it nicely. So yeah, I weren't really worried. I'm intrigued to find where the Usos go. I think it would have benefited better for Raw to have Roman, but I suppose they haven't had a champion for so long that now they're going to have a permanent permanent world champion come May 27th, which will be on every week. So he'll probably benefit Raw in the long run, him not doing it.
Two things. I was traveling back. I've been up and down the country this weekend.
Yeah.
I was traveling back from Galston Saturday, last night after Ignite. I traveled back to Galston to be with the family. I was listening to the Busted Open podcast, Mark Henry and all the good guys over there. Mark Henry was devastated that Roman and Cody have been split up because Cody was announced as the Raw #1 pick. So he is staying on Raw. Roman is on SmackDown. And Mark Henry was devastated that we might have to wait an entire year pretty much till next year's WrestleMania to see that match potentially. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen with. And they made the point of, well, do you think Cody now winning this new World Heavyweight title that's going to be up for grabs at Night of Champions on May 27th? It's kind of like a pity kind of championship now if Cody wins it. And Mark Henry was making the point of, I don't think he was saying, I don't think they put it on Cody. He thinks they put it on Seth.
Yeah.
But obviously Seth's due. He's in this
Tonight.
little, but yeah. So we find out what happens with Seth tonight. Obviously, if he gets drafted to SmackDown, then that's cat pigeons everywhere. We don't know what's going to go on then. But are you kind of? How do you feel about the Cody and Roman not being? I would have liked to have seen Roman gone to Raw and Cody stay on it. But then if he's still only going to be part-time, so I can kind of see why they've done it. Were you disappointed that Roman hasn't gone to Raw? And where do you want this whole world championship thing to go? You've got Seth, you've got Cody. Who else are you really going to throw in the mix? I think Lesnar will probably end up staying on Raw. Obviously, Bobby Lashley's gone to SmackDown. How do you think they do it? What did you make of Cody and Roman being split up?
I'm not really worried about it. I mean, to say the second world title is pity. I don't think they're going to put it on. I agree. I don't think they're going to put it on Cody first off anyway. I think that'll be another part of his hard time story to eventually. My personal thing is what. So the difference I want to know now is how does that change Money in the Bank? Because if they've got two titles to go on, does it mean that they can choose which one, or is it just if you win it and you're on Raw, you can only go after the Raw one?
Or are there two Money in the Bank matches?
Or are there more Money in the Bank? Well, they're going to be
a SmackDown title, a women's title, and potentially could be four. You've got two women's titles. You've got two.
Yeah, exactly. The way that I'd see it is, I think Cody would be a shoo-in for Money in the Bank if it's assuming that's what.
But then do they let them cash it? But if they're saying Cody is predominantly Raw, does he only get to cash it in on Seth Rollins, whoever's got it?
Yeah.
Does he only get to cash in on him? I think they need to make that
They do. I think that will come clearer after the draft and backlash, because they basically said all the draft basically once it concludes. I think it's going to conclude Tuesday, tomorrow, because they'll do the supplemental again like they did on Saturday for the untraded or unpicked guys, and then they would or free agents or whatever they want to do, and then they'll have backlash, and then it will split. Who else is going to be in the world title? Again, I can't really do that until we know who's on the shows, and then we can kind of gauge an idea. I mean, LA Knight might get thrown in, he might get drafted tonight, and then he's a good pick for at least a tournament match. But
do you think that that's how Night of Champions goes down? Is it a tournament? Is it do they do the standard qualifying matches on Raw leading up to it? Have the tournament kind of on Raw. So tonight they could announce the first qualifying for the world once all the draft's done, or or do they advertise it as this following Monday on Raw? The tournament will start. The tournament will start. It'll be Cody Rhodes versus whoever, and in that bracket, and then they'll have the brackets, and then come May 27th, it'll be the two in the final.
I think it all depends on what they're actually doing at Night of Champions, because we're going to touch on the main event later, which obviously potentially has implications. We don't know. They're not even drafted yet, Sam and Kevin, so we don't know what's going to happen with them. I probably see I don't think they'll make a whole night of it. Again, it does depend. If Roman's not going to be there, which now there's no need for him to be there, although he's going to be 1,000 days, you could throw a celebration, and perhaps from there they could get a new opponent. But he doesn't need to have a match on the card now, because they're crowning. So the oil money's done really well. That they're going to get new champions and crowned at the end of May. And let's face it, now it does kind of, I think, rule out the men's title changing at Money in the Bank, because unless some idiot wins the tournament, they're not going to cash it in the same night, because what is it going to be, like 4-week reign? And now, from what I've read, they want to now start to. I read this earlier actually. Make the titles more relevant, so people are going to get longer reigns as champion. So.
Well, they want Roman Reigns. I think me and you were speaking this morning. They want Roman Reigns to break every single record there is.
Near enough.
Bruno Sammartino's, everything. They pretty much him Hulk Hogan's reign. Yeah. They want him to go past everything. If he went the full hog, that's way past WrestleMania next year, mate. That's way past anything next year. He's got this title for another 2 years.
I think Bruno Sammartino held it for 4,000 days. Yes. So he's probably going to have it for like WrestleMania 50.
He would have that potentially for another 2 WrestleManias. Just quickly off the top of my head.
Well, more than that. It's only 365 days in a year.
How many did Sammartino have it for?
4,000.
Oh, Jesus. So he's going to have that for the next
10 years. He's only got 1,000 days in it at the minute.
He's going to have that for 10 more years. Could you?
Cody,
Hello,
Cody
hello.
finishes.
This is the Hit in the Turnbuckle podcast. We're really old.
Cody finishes the story at WrestleMania 50. That's how long he's. I don't think. I think Hogan's is a more realistic bet, which takes him to next September. So it does take him past 40, but it fits. It
on
drops.
A part-time schedule as well.
Yeah, well, that makes it easier, though, doesn't it? I know.
You can kind of see why they've done this other title, but you can see like why fans are saying, "Oh, we're getting a pity title." You don't get me wrong; it'd be great to see Seth and Cody defend it at the main event on Raw for the. But back in the day, like we mentioned countless times, Stone Cold would be against the Undertaker for the title on Raw, or he would be in a tag match with The Rock versus the Undertaker and Kane. But the title was there; you could see it physically on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah,
right now, I think I saw something on Twitter this morning. Did Roman Reigns do a house show or something last night? Just his first one in absolutely donk. So he's got to be gearing up for some sort of return soon. To be kind of keeping in ring show. I don't know where they were. I saw on Twitter. Yeah, like you said, he's not going to be at Night of Champions.
He won't be at Money in the Bank.
Won't be at Money in the Bank. We potentially might not see him till
the build for SummerSlam.
I don't know that. I'm thinking if they're bringing this juggernaut to the UK, I think we see him somehow. I don't know how.
Well, I think there's always going to be this thing that they're going to want to one-up AEW, aren't they? Let's be truthful about.
Well, they're putting their single tickets on sale the same day that AEW are putting.
Is that what they're doing? Oh, I didn't know that.
Single tickets for SmackDown and Money in the Bank are going on sale the exact same day as AEW tickets for Wembley Stadium.
I think there's also this whole thing, and someone said it today, and I know we're digressing and changing to AEW, and Dave should have been on there for this, but I think.
All right, Dave.
Yeah, all right, Dave. They were saying that what was I going to say?
AEW, WWE tickets going on sale at the same time.
Totally blew me off the top of my head now. There's going to be more of a thing because this is AEW's first time in the UK, so there's going to be more of a sort of, we want to try and see this show because
even people that don't watch it. They're going to want to come. But we're lucky over here. It's on ITV. It's on terrestrial TV.
Exactly.
A watered-down version. But, well, AEW, obviously, I'm sure you and Dave will get into it closer to the time where they're doing back-to-back pay-per-views. The week after Wembley Stadium, they're doing another pay-per-view.
It's funny that because Dave, that was the first time I heard of it was when Dave said it a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. And again, it literally, I think, just got confirmed by one of their headers.
Yeah, it is confirmed. Back-to-back pay-per-views, very unheard of in the wrestling world. But it's going to be interesting, mate. Bianca Belair going to the Raw Women's Champion is heading to SmackDown. Albeit we sit here again on the Monday night and Bianca Belair has issued a open challenge tonight on Raw. So obviously those listening to this past Monday, we're really sorry. We already know the result. But for the sake of this podcast, does the title get changed tonight then so she can go to SmackDown title free, probably get Backlash out the get Backlash out the way, challenges Rhea Ripley straight away for the SmackDown women's title? I don't know.
But she's wrestling Io at Backlash for the Raw Women's title when Io's on SmackDown. Oh, sorry, that's taken away one of the things from later, but the Io's on SmackDown now as well.
So it's going to be.
So the only thing I can think of is Rhea gets drafted to Raw.
Wins titles.
They switch them, and then Bianca takes on Io for the Raw Women's title. The SmackDown. I'm getting confused. And then Rhea takes on Selena, who would also be drafted to Raw. So in the sense that she doesn't
just switching the matches, basically,
just switching the title matches over.
Yeah,
Bianca losing tonight makes zero sense because she's held the title for so long. So it's going to have to mean something, unless it's another up and comer from NXT that takes it.
There's no one left in NXT.
We'll get on to that, especially the women. That's what we said all along, but we'll hit that when we get to it.
Triple H lost, so Bianca went to SmackDown. Cody, obviously, we've discussed, stayed on Raw. Becky Lynch stayed on Raw again.
Means Seth's staying on Raw as well.
Yeah, got to keep Mummy and Daddy together, haven't you?
Well, they've done it again. We'll talk about that later, but they've
Yeah, exactly. Then SmackDown kicked off with the Usos coming out, basically saying they were doing this for the Tribal Chief. Tonight was for the Tribal Chief. Out comes Sami Zayn and KO, a little brawl. My mate Riddle then popped up and it all kicked off. It was a bit saying about him, and I don't know what happened there. But I thought I think they're not quite sure what to do with the Usos right now. I think there's obviously plans happening. I think WWE seem to be the whole Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. Look, they're very clever with Heyman looking at Sikoa, but the Usos thinking that he's talking to them.
Yeah.
What's the dynamic of this? Where are they going to go with this? Obviously, we don't know what's happening with the full draft yet. But in your opinion, is it just going to be a newish kind of bloodline with maybe someone new coming in? Could be a female, could be someone like Rhea Ripley could come in if she holds both titles. Is it going to be the bloodline new with Sammy, KO, and the Usos, maybe?
Oh, you're going to do, what's it, Bloodline Red and Black, Bloodline Black and White,
Yeah.
be like the NWO.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Could have one on Raw, one on SmackDown. Is it the whole, are we getting into this whole NWO thing again?
Your talents are wasted on here. You need to be a booker and start doing creative. Maybe we can change that.
Oh, okay. No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. They could do that. I don't. To be honest, this is one of these things where that's one of the intriguing things, and that's one of the things I like.
Because that bloodline's been on. It's been so long, hasn't it? That WWE are kind of like, oh shit. What do we do outside of the bloodline? You've always got storylines going on, but they're like, this has been the storyline for years now. They're thinking they're 10 bookers who ever sit around a table probably thinking, oh, this is a risk. What the fuck? What do we do? Hence why Roman probably didn't lose at Mania. We heard that got changed last minute. WWE have gone, hang on a minute, we're not ready to pull the plug on this yet. That's just what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think they're worried because it has been a staple focal point for the last 2 years, and it's been a good focal point because, as we've discussed before, with long-term booking, you need to keep it fresh. And at the times where it was starting to dwell, they segued and something else happened, and then something else happened.
Oh, you're turning into a bit of a Dalek there, mate. Whoop. Hello. Oh, Adam's gone to a Dalek. He has gone to the dark side and has frozen. I am now doing a podcast on my own. Mr. Cousins, are you there? Ding dong. Where is Adam? No. There he is. He's back.
You froze my end as well.
Oh, you froze my end. You were doing something with your head.
Oh, I'm growing my hair.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was. I think we kind of heard the end of your point, mate. But we could get on to the first match of Smackdown. In my notes here, we've got obviously from the Brawling Brutes, we had Butch versus LA Knight. In my notes, I've put LA Knight. Obviously, he won the match. In brackets, I put get him on Raw and push him to the moon. Again, I don't know what WWE want to do with LA Knight because the crowd reaction for quite a while was good for him. Kind of simmered down a little bit post-Mania, but everyone kind of simmers down post-Mania and you slowly build it up again. Good match, Butch versus LA Knight. Solid match, actually, for SmackDown. LA Knight, mate, what are we thinking? Keep him on SmackDown, draft him to Raw, get him some new feuds going, push him for a United States title, wherever that ends up. IC title if they want to get Gunther off into the main event, that kind of situation.
Yeah, I think with LA Knight, it's like I don't know whether he should move. I just have this feeling if you get drafted to Raw, it's generally shit. It's 3 hours long. You should get time, but I don't know. I think he should stay on SmackDown. Obviously, we can talk about the title, potential title that will be on SmackDown soon, because again, the draft's tonight, so we don't know.
Yeah, we really should have recorded this tomorrow.
Well,
we haven't got enough time. There's not enough hours in the day actually for us to record more podcasts.
But LA Knight, I don't think necessarily the pop has dropped. I just think the crowds have been awful since Mania.
I think they need something. They need a big.
Sold out tonight. Raw sold out again tonight.
Where is Raw tonight? Do we know?
Texas.
That's going to be good. As much as I hate the Cowboys in Texas, and I'm a Washington Commanders fan. For those that don't know, the mighty Commanders. But yeah, I think this will slowly, hopefully now. I mean, we'll get Backlash out the way. What's that week? When's that? Saturday. We'll get that done. We can talk about that and we can review that, and that'll be finished, and we can then move on and get to what I call it a proper pay-per-view. You've got Night Champions over in Saudi Arabia, so
it's never a proper pay-per-view.
Potentially haven't got a proper pay-per-view till Money in the Bank, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, LA Knight, let's see what happens with him. The Usos and then Paul Heyman were backstage doing the promo. Paul Heyman, again, being very clever. They're kind of segue into Solo Sikoa being the man.
Yeah.
The Usos kind of being ushered out. We've kind of touched on that, where it's going to be really interesting to go. Then we had RVD and Michael Hayes come out to do the round 2 of the draft. Before we get onto the picks, Michael Hayes looked like he had about 10 tequila shots. RVD had the draft card upside down and looks terrible in a suit and looks stoned out of his nut. I mean, always good to see RVD, mate, but wow,
Yeah.
don't put him on live TV ever again.
I used the analogy that you could put David Beckham in a £10 suit and he'll look like $1 million. You can put RVD in a $10,000 suit, he still look like a tramp. It's like he's one of those people who just don't wear suits. The fact that he had the draft card upside down was hilarious.
Yeah, and he was
and the fact he was even looking at it, going, who's going?
You could see him kind of like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
When they eventually got round to the picks, SmackDown picked the Street Profits coming over from Raw. Again, in my notes here, I've got, and I was watching. I can't remember. I was watching a YouTube wrestling YouTube one that I watched. I can't remember his name now. Forgive me all the time. And even he was like, "Why aren't the Street Profits being split up?"
Yeah.
Should they have split? They still might. We don't know. They could have a feud on. Something could happen in a match on Smack. We see all the time in tag team wrestling. You know, it could happen. Were you disappointed that the Street Profits weren't split up? Because, you know, we've been calling it since Mania, really. You know, both very talented guys, but to keep them together, move them across back to the blue brand, like you say, they were on SmackDown on Friday. They come out, so they're good. Pleased to be back on the blue brand. That's easy for me to say. What did you make of it, mate? The first SmackDown in the second round of the draft. Also in my notes, I've got just read RVD is stoned out of his head.
Well, I think that is probably the most sense you've written down.
Yeah. I love mine. Honestly, I look back at some of my notes sometimes. I think, oh my god,
mine are like scribbles.
Yeah, mine's just on my notebook on my phone.
See, what I didn't know, and this is probably from my ignorance, I wasn't checking stuff, was that I thought it was single super. I didn't think when they said
you could go as
4 draft picks, I was assuming 4 people, not a group counts as.
It never used to be groups, did it?
No.
I'm sure when the draft started all these years ago, it used to be like, right. I remember they used to have that, all of them sitting backstage, and I think it was Kane and The Undertaker were teaming at the time, and I think Kane went to SmackDown.
And Flair chose Undertaker to
Flair, Flair, and they were kind of like, you know, now it's just like, oh, they're, you know, the Heyman and, you know, and all that, they're all going together, and the Street Profits are going together. I mean, I hope they do split them up eventually. I think they could.
They need to. That was the whole point.
SmackDown roster is, you know, stacked. SmackDown is, it pains me to say it because I'm an old school guy. Monday Night Raw will always be Monday Night Raw for me, but SmackDown is the show. The next pick, mate, this is going to be interesting how they do this, because this is someone that definitely needs to be split up from his crew. Imperium got drafted to Raw. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because you've already got Cody on Raw.
Yeah.
If you get Lesnar drafted to Raw and you've got Gunther, you might get your dream ads. You might get Gunther versus Brock Lesnar. Again, same question as the Street Profits. Does Imperium get split up on Raw? And Gunther, does he in the next 2 pay-per-views, obviously Backlash? Is he defending? No, he's not. He's not defending it at Backlash.
No, he's not going to match at Backlash.
So Night of Champions, does he drop it to then maybe, or does he drop it on a Raw? Because I think potentially, you know, we were talking earlier, Cody, Seth. I think Gunther, potentially you could have Gunther and Lesnar fighting for the title and Gunther going over.
I don't think Imperium need to split. I think that's still too early. I know they was in NXT, but they got drafted separately at one point so they come up at different times, different name changes. Ludwig Kaiser's had about 4 different names. Vinci's had a few. I keep thinking Finchy out of the office when the name. I would love to see Gunther in the world title hunt, and I think he will be. But I think he'll probably be one of those semi-final defeat, you know, right at the end.
Save him for later on.
End boss kind of thing. Yeah.
Kind of a Raw. I can see him as a Royal Rumble winner.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, he should effectively win the world title or something. Does he hold both? I don't know. It would be Angle was one of the last people to do it, right? I'm sure.
The IC and
Oh, yeah, it was a Euro title, wasn't it? Because he had the
Yeah,
Euro Continental or whatever it was called.
yeah.
Does he do that? I don't know. But yeah, Lesnar, does he go? Where does he go from tonight? I suppose he's one of the picks tonight. I suppose he's one of the
Yeah, I hope he stays on
people.
Raw because if he goes to SmackDown, then you pretty much know he's just going to go into a feud with Roman Reigns eventually.
Yeah, I think that's going to be. I
Yeah,
think he'll stay on
I
Raw.
think he'll stay on Raw. SmackDown then got the next pick, and it was your boy, Edge.
Yeah,
SmackDown when and they said this on commentary. It's the brand that him and The Rock kind of built.
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown. Again, in my notes, I've put one last run for Edge on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Where do they go with him? He's pretty much come out and said he wants to retire this year. Is he just back on SmackDown for not nostalgia? That's probably the wrong word, but how do they play it with him, knowing that in the back of their minds he probably wants to retire? We'll say by Survivor Series. Just it might be before, it might be after. He wants to probably there's an event in Canada coming up where he maybe wants to end it. What does he do on SmackDown, or is it a passing of the torch kind of thing? Is he on SmackDown to help elevate one of the Street Profits, someone else on SmackDown? He won't be involved in the feud with Roman, I don't think.
No, that's done anyway, isn't it?
That's done. Yeah, I mean, Bobby Lashley, we're going to get to. He's on SmackDown now. I mean, what do they do with Edge, in your opinion? I'm hoping they send him off. I don't want it to be like when they gave everyone knows The Rock's my guy, but they gave him the title. And it was kind of like, when he beat CM Punk, everyone was like, should they really have done that? I kind of get what they were doing with all the Punk stuff going on backstage then. But what did they do with Edge? Did they give him one? In my famous notes here, I put one last run, ? Must ask Adam. Adam, I've asked you.
You've asked me. Edge to SmackDown, yeah, that was fine. No problem with that at all. I think as long as the Judgment Day stay on Raw, I think that makes logical sense. He said he was on Impulsive, the Logan Paul podcast. Edge should come to our podcast. I don't need to do Logan Paul. Just come with us.
We're much more popular.
Come on.
Logan who? What?
Yeah, exactly. We don't need a bottle of cough medicine to make it relevant. We can be all right. He was on there and he said he's got a year. He reckons he's got 1 year.
Okay.
So that's what he came out and said. Yeah, I think, you know what, maybe, and again, I'm assuming this is happening tonight. So again, we don't know. But I would say probably Austin Theory, maybe the way to go with Edge, because obviously he's beaten Cena, and it was what it was, wasn't it? It wasn't, the greatest of matches. Edge can still go. We know that. Edge could do that. He could elevate Montez.
Did you see the thing he tweeted about Finn Balor? That match, the WrestleMania match, was meant to happen at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it was always rumored that it was going to be Rumble, but I think at that point they were like, hang on, 2 Rumbles. Have we got enough time to put WrestleMania gave him the time to put the cell on, and you could have the Edge robot entrance and whatever else. I just think Edge will be. He won't be world champ. That's obvious. I don't think anyone's taking that off Roman but at least
unless he gets a new one. SmackDown though. Yeah, shit, my bad.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe a good elevation, but
yeah, I'm hoping they do something with him. I'm hoping he's just not there for nostalgia purposes. He doesn't become a SmackDown GM or something.
No, I don't think he would want to. I don't think he would want to do
stupid like that. Yeah, I don't care. Raw picked Matt Riddle again.
We'll pass over that one. Funny enough,
you can talk about it if you want, mate. Honestly,
he got
if he got drafted to a UK promotion, I wouldn't go and fucking watch.
The funny thing was he got drafted at the same time RVD was doing the draft, so that was
shocked. Yeah, probably them two would be perfect. What a night out that would be. Now that I'd watch. Now, we can. Do you think they're going to give Matt Riddle some sort of push?
No,
it's going to be another Jinder Mahal moment.
Oh, jeez.
Remember that? No one thought he would get. No one thought JBL would originally get the title. Does Matt Riddle again? Do you throw him in a US IC? I'm not talking world because I think that's. But it seems to be. If you look at like house shows and main events on SmackDown, he's in them all.
Yeah, I think he may be one that starts off in that tournament and then loses again in the later rounds. We don't know how big this tournament's going to be yet.
No,
we
don't.
Be one night. It's going to be over a load of weeks. Is it going to be, So we don't, and I don't think we will know until Backlash, or they may announce if it's going to start on Raw. They'll probably announce it, and then they'll announce the matches the night of Raw to get Backlash out of the way. Riddle. I think he'll be in the tournament. As he'll probably get to maybe the quarters or the semis. I don't know how. So we don't know how big the tournament's going to be. I think it's a bit too soon to have him even think about at that stage because these guys
If
still
they put that, you'd be doing this podcast on your own.
No, I don't think we have to worry about that.
Just be a blank screen with my name there. Anyway, the Street Profits had a match. Street Profits was versus a triple threat. When it's Street Profits, Strowman and Ricochet and the LWO with the Street Profits going over, if I remember. Where do Ricochet, Strowman again? Have they been drafted yet? I didn't watch much after on like the I'd been announcing things, didn't they, on social media?
Yeah, it was none of that.
So I'm guessing they're eligible for tonight.
Yeah.
Again, this is another, Strowman's been Triple H. He's another one that he's brought back. Ricochet, Strowman. The LWO, do they stick around post backlash? You know, like you said to me, I think me and you were chatting, was it yesterday or when I spoke to you last on the podcast? The LWO t-shirts are the highest selling merchandise thing. So, if KO and Sammy stay on SmackDown, I would put them in a run with the Street Profits.
So here's the thing: if Kemi, oh, fuck. Hey, look, I've had enough of names going. You know what I was like last week?
He's gone all RVD on us. He's on the Kemi.
Yeah, I've had enough of these names and cut off and whatever. It's taken out of me. If Kevin and Sammy get drafted, are they going to create new tag team champions on the other show?
They'll have to.
Because that, again, kind of, then you've got it open to new Raw tag team champions.
Well, you've already got, at the minute, you've got the IC title on Raw. You're going to have the new World Heavyweight Championship on Raw.
The US, technically.
You've still got the US, but I think he'll get drafted. I think.
He'll get drafted tonight.
I think that'll go to SmackDown. That could be another brand new Raw Tag Team Champions tournament announced. Night of Champions could be.
Night of Champions. There you go.
There you go. Could be. It should be a book.
And that means Kevin and Sammy don't have to go.
There you go. See, mate, we figured it out.
Someone WWE booking.
Give us a job. Give us a job. But yeah, the Strowman and Ricochet went over in what was a fairly good match. Anytime I get to watch the Street Profits,
Street Profits went over.
Street Profits went over. Anytime I get to watch them wrestle is always a good time. Again, I really, really do hope they do something with them.
Tell you what I found funny. Did you see it when Strowman went to throw Ricochet?
Oh, yeah. He said, "I've got you this time. I've got you." He launched him over the rope.
Well, to be fair, we criticised him. He got pelted.
Not his fault. The Viking Raiders were in the wrong spot at the wrong time.
It's not even that. It's that we gave him pelters as well. And I think a lot of other people. But he got concussed in that match. That's why he fell over.
Yeah, that's why he didn't do a lot of the...
So we have to sort of say, he wasn't on
he wasn't doing any of the European tour. He wasn't doing house shows. Yeah, he was concussed to shit. But that was funny when he said, "I've got you. I won't mess up this time." The third round, we had JBL and Teddy Long coming out. Anytime you get to see Teddy Long on his show, SmackDown will always be Teddy Long's show. SmackDown picked Bobby Lashley. Again, going back to my world famous notes. Bobby Lashley and Roman program.
Oh, I'm all for that.
I think that's where they go. Because I don't really think what does Bobby do? We don't know the full SmackDown roster yet.
No.
Unless Austin Theory gets drafted over and they continue their US title thing, which I wouldn't put it past WWE. Edge is there. Edge and Bobby Lashley, I'd pay to see that.
Mm-hmm. I think Bobby Lashley and Roman's a shoo-in probably for SummerSlam before.
Okay.
I'm happy with that. I mean, Bobby, he's been on Raw he hasn't been on. When was the last time he was on SmackDown? Was it way back in his first run?
I think people remember. Like The Rock and all that was still on Raw, SmackDown when he was last on SmackDown.
I'm sure it was a while ago, wasn't it? I don't recall him being draw, unless he may have done. And to be honest, we've been asleep since then, and we're old, so we may.
We slept. Do we sleep?
I don't know. Do we? We do. We get contracts signed at 11 or 12 o'clock at night.
I don't think we do sleep, but it'd be interesting what they do. But I think you could be right. Some you've got to do something big. SummerSlam's like the second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Technically, or we're going to say Money in the Bank this year, but you've got to pull out the stops at SummerSlam. Would Roman versus Bobby be a good enough main event?
Yeah, we got the Raw one as well, so doesn't it?
Yeah, Cody will be involved in that somehow. I think if they don't go kind of segue with Gunther and stuff like that, I think the main event for Raw on SummerSlam will be Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes for the title.
Probably, but we've also got this other thing. Not that SummerSlam would fall under this category, is that they were thinking about bringing back brand only pay-per-views.
Oh, okay.
No, not that saying SummerSlam would only be SummerSlam was always dual branded, even when they had it passed. But they may be bringing back the single branded
pay. Geez, there'll be pay-per-views every week. Another big one, a guy that we've mentioned quite a few times on this podcast. We can whiz through them quickly. Raw picked Drew McIntyre. Mm-hmm. SmackDown picked the OC, all of them, with AJ Styles coming back.
I'll tell you that quick. Like, AJ Styles has been gone how long?
5 months.
This was it, right? So they drafted the OC, and I was like, oh, cool. AJ's going to come back and go on SmackDown. Then he come out, and I was like, Jesus. The commentators, here's AJ Styles.
Yeah, no big build, no welcome back after 5 months.
That was what you got, like one of your best talents, and you can't even get excited for AJ Styles.
And he's no disrespect to the OC, but he's kind of been jobbed out with them. He's going to be involved in 3-on-3 matches versus the LWO in the Viking Raiders and Ricochet.
Viking Raiders.
Yeah, I really need to pay more attention.
Supplemental draft on Sunday.
Oh, see now that I rely on you for that. I know you.
Why?
Because I don't pay any attention to that shit. So the Viking Raiders are gone, but the OC are going to be. AJ Styles needs to be a singles wrestler. Yes. Bottom line, let the OC versus KO and Sammy, all in for it. The OC versus the Street Profits, I'm all in for it. Put AJ versus Roman. Even if you're doing it for like a month's push, just because Roman's going to keep the title for the fucking next 1,000 years. Get AJ in as a singles competitor. But so we had Drew McIntyre.
Drew would be a heel.
Raw. Yeah, Drew will be interesting to see what they do with him. Could he be the one? A lot of people saying he deserves it after the whole pandemic champion. I hate when people call him that, a pandemic champion, but. Drew, all these idiots that said he was going to AEW, that fucking clearly isn't happening. Raw got the Miz. I mean, what have they been doing with him for the last 2 years? He had a good run with the IC title when he defended it week. Now he's just he was the host of WrestleMania. If you're the host of WrestleMania, that's basically just a pity boat to get you on the show, so you get paid. He hasn't really done much on any show on.
Oops.
Nothing. Again, this comes back to, I know they've got a great pool of talent and they've only got 2 shows, Raw and SmackDown. They've got NXT. Miz would have been perfect to go down to NXT and do something. Do a program with someone. Do a program like when Dolph dropped back down there. Things like that. I think the Miz, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, I mean it, because NXT need people. All right, the women's division and has been completely decimated, but they need talent. The Miz for me, mate, I think he should have gone back to NXT.
I don't know what they got. He's just going to be a steady Eddie, isn't he? He's going to be one of them guys that, here's a new face coming on. We're just going to push him against Miz.
I mean, I know on the house show tour this week, he's been up against Seth every night.
Oh, the 10-minute
intro.
The
one
funny thing was
France was unreal.
Yeah, I mean, Paris was brilliant. The funny thing was that Baron Corbin
went over. He won a match.
And he won a match. The last guy to pin Roman Reigns
won a match on a house show.
Won a match on a house show against Rick Boogs, and they loved him.
I saw the pop that people were sharing on social media. We then had Selena Vega versus Sonya Deville. Vega obviously got the over. Rhea Ripley come out. Selena hit her with a DDT, setting up a little bit for this weekend.
Yeah.
Ash again. Do you know what? I don't actually mind. The more I watch Selena, the more I actually like her as a wrestler.
We never got time to see her, did we? Really?
Yeah, it was literally this Selena versus Sonya was over in the blink of an eye, and Rhea Ripley come out, took a DDT, and we moved on. That was it. I mean,
that's pretty much how they're going to go with it.
Yeah,
have the match on Saturday, then move on.
Yeah. We then had a segment with the OC and AJ were then done a little bit in the ring. The Viking Raiders come out. AJ Styles tells the OC to handle their business. They kick the living bejesus out of the Viking Raiders. And AJ gets on the mic and says, SmackDown, we've just this is just the start. Then hits the phenomenal forearm. Shit, that's not easy to say. Again, mate, I don't know. It looks like AJ's just like we just said a minute ago.
Is he heel or face?
I think I prefer
heel.
him as a face, but he looks heel.
To use terminology, it looked very heelish.
Yeah, very heelish. Very.
Hello, the Viking Raiders were heels, so I don't know. God knows.
I don't know, but yeah, that was another decent little segment on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels and the Road Dogg were out next for the fourth and final round of the draft. Yeah, there's the fourth and final. Honestly, I can't keep up. SmackDown got Damage Control. But the best thing about that was everyone was like looking forward to see Bayley and Michael Cole interact again. For those that watched during the pandemic, that was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Raw, Shinsuke Nakamura. Again, a couple of years ago, got a push. A big push, won the Rumble. Kind of didn't really do much with him. Then got a really bad injury. Now come back. Could be another one. He's very much under the radar kind of guy. Could Shinsuke be one that, again, we're talking about this tournament that we don't know if it's going to happen yet. Shinsuke to Raw, what does he do?
Good fucking question.
Him and The Miz had a good feud. Back, but that was for the IC title and yada yada yada.
What do they do? Again, I keep saying bang them in a tournament. They probably will. I don't know. I suppose until we know the full brands, we don't really know because we don't know who's going to be on there. At the moment, we can only go by who's been drafted. They'll probably put them in the tournament. I can see them going in the World Title Tournament. Again, depends how many people they are in there. After that, I suppose it's wait and see. Maybe Bronson Reed. Don't know.
Yeah, no. You mentioned us being bookers, ads. We might actually have to go to NXT because I don't fucking think there's anyone left, mate. SmackDown picked the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. Well done. That's what I'm glad to hear, mate. And they mentioned on commentary, Michael Cole said, well, are they bringing the NXT Tag Team titles to SmackDown? But then obviously, I don't know the name of the team. Forgive me. I don't watch NXT. I'm not going to lie. They got up and challenged them.
Names either.
You're not taking them titles with you. We challenge you to a match this day on NXT. We also had Raw picking the NXT Women's Champion, Indy Hartwell. I mean, by then NXT. I mean, are they going to have loads of title changes this Tuesday? I mean, I might actually watch NXT. I'm not going to
Indy Hartwell in the triple threat that she had last week, I thought they nearly called an audible because she suffered it looked really freakish ankle injury. And if you notice when she got picked, she was wearing a protective boot. So perhaps anyway, the easy way to have got her off the title was just to strip her. It's not fair. Tag team ones, well, they'd have to again, you say they've got a match tonight or tomorrow night, sorry. But going back to what we said initially when the draft was on, they needed to refresh the women's division. And they're doing it with the decent talent as well.
From NXT,
Yeah, that was, NXT can pick the people from Level Up. And there's also some free agents, which we'll probably go on to quickly in a minute. So yeah, I think good. From Alba Fire was Kaylee Ray in the UK. Great talent, Scottish talent. Scottish talent's kicking ass at the minute, to be fair, in WWE.
Fiona will be very pleased.
She will. I'll speak to her Wednesday. Been good. I liked all those. I like Shawn Michaels throwing his card down when because he obviously lost me. He's lost.
I like the way at the start of the draft, Triple H was going, the future picks are being debated in the back.
Oh yeah, cool stuff. Well, to be fair, you probably got Vince going rewrite.
Yeah, you probably got Vince in one corner, RVD in the other. I don't care, Vince, just announce it.
Yeah, but they do lose more in the supplemental as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you were paying attention to that supplemental draft. SmackDown finished with the Usos versus Sami and KO in a hell of a match. Again, this was meant more for the whole Solo Sikoa thing. Paul Heyman was on the screen looking like he took a call from the tribal chief. Solo comes out to the ring, but then gets distracted by my mate, Matt Riddle. KO and Sami ended up keeping the titles in what was a hell of a main event on SmackDown. Really, really enjoyed it. Is this now the push for Solo? Is this now the split of the Usos? It's again ball's up in the air. We don't really know what's happening.
Yeah.
If you were doing it, how would you do it?
I'll draft the Usos to Raw. And I personally think I don't know whether we touched on this before we went on air or just as we started, that I think Roman's going to make Paul Heyman do that as punishment because
he did mention in one of his many backstage skits, like when he was talking to Solo, he's like, tonight's the night.
I think
kicked out the
my
bloodline.
thought was that Solo was going to come down and attack Jimmy and Jay. And maybe he still will. Maybe they'll stay on the same show, and that will be the split of the bloodline. I think they get drafted to Raw as I say, punishment. And I don't know.
Can we see Solo now tonight? Because he's technically a Smackdown.
Yeah, the draft doesn't take into effect until the Monday after Backlash.
Something could happen tonight on Raw. Okay. Yeah, it's going to
be.
Overall, yeah. I mean, is there anyone of note that you would like to mention from the supplemental draft?
I can do it all here because it's quite quick. Raw drafted the Viking Raiders. So, yeah. Raw drew Dexter Loomis. Yeah, piss break. Candice LeRae went to Raw. Maximum Male Models. And Natalia went to Raw. Apollo Crews got called up for the second time.
He's back.
Yeah, I mean, his first one went really well, didn't it? God knows what he's going to do this time. Chelsea Green and Sonya Deville went to Raw. The two interesting ones from NXT that come up that I want to see Zoe Stark, which is another great women's wrestler, and JD McDonough, who is the Irish ace. He was the one, if you remember NXT UK, Finn Balor wrestled him when he was Jordan Devlin.
Yes.
Great talent. Again, the only concern is he's a small guy. We know what they can know. And SmackDown, Lacey Evans.
Great. She's had more pushes and oh my God.
All of Hit Row.
Oh, great.
Fantastic. And in the free agents, Von Wagner from NXT, who apparently WWE are massive on. Mustafa Ali, Dolph Ziggler, and the Giant Omos. Which, I mean, Dolph Ziggler's a one where you can just put anywhere. They could redo the feud. They could redo the feud with Braun Breaker just to get him over. Ziggler's one of those guys where if you're trying to get someone elevated, you put him in the ring with. So to have him as a free agent makes sense.
Omos and Lashley on the news on SmackDown, like you say a few months ago, reformed the Hurt Business.
Yeah, Omos. I mean, he's a free agent, go wherever he wants. He's a free agent. Ali will just be because they probably don't know what to do with him, so they probably just
he'll be in a match against Ricochet somewhere along the line.
Ping him down to NXT.
And again, they need the talent. They need something now NXT. But don't get me wrong. I don't watch loads of it, but they need something NXT.
Yeah,
Miz would have been perfect. Dolph Ziggler would have been perfect to go back down there. Like you say, Ricochet, stretch someone. I mean, I know it's meant to be developmental, but if there's no one there to help these fucking kids, there ain't going to be much developing going on.
The biggest experience I got down there at the moment is Jinder Mahal.
Oh, great. Awesome. What's his name? Has he not got another push? Remember who's the guy on Raw? Come hailing from India. They've done the big build up. Him coming every week. Veer Mahan. Isn't he? Where's he?
I don't know. He was coming for ages.
He's probably been drafted to Shotgun Saturday Night, and he's the only one there.
Maybe.
For our younger listeners, go and Google what Shotgun Saturday Night used to be. But it's been good talking some WWE. It was great to see you and your lovely other half, Rachel, at Ignite yesterday, my friend. We had a really, really good day. Again, thanks to everyone at Ignite for looking after myself and Adam. But we are going to squeeze our Raw review in somehow this week. We've got loads of other shows coming up this week. Adam's doing some. I'm doing some. You just keep an eye out on all our socials because we're going to literally be everywhere. We've got Buckle Up. We're going to say it every single show, July the 23rd. Go and if you're anywhere near Bournemouth, I mean, I'm an hour away. I'm getting there.
Me too.
Adam's getting there. He's in Canby Island. He's getting there. If you're anywhere that you can get to Bournemouth, come down on July the 23rd. It's going to be an incredible, incredible event that Ignite going to put on. Smashing Mike and Corey McRae going to be in the main event. Two incredible. The UK talent roster is exceptional. A lot of them are on Ignite Wrestling Pro.
Put it this way, if you want us to shut up about it, sell it out.
Just sell it out. Go and, I mean, the front, like we said at the start, the front row is nearly sold out. But July the 23rd, buckle up. The link for tickets is on all our socials. You can find us on Twitter at HTT Buckle. Facebook, just search Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. YouTube, go and type in the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. You can find us, but or just click on our Twitter and all our links there. But Adam, no doubt I will see you another 1,000 times this week, my friend. Definitely. And it's been fun. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning into the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast as always. I've been your host, Andy Burrows, with my good friend and amazing tag team partner, Mr. Adam Cousins. And big shout out to his missus, who I know is probably peering through the door listening to us right now. Even to your age. Till then, everybody, buckle down and stay safe.